So while stocks are recovered Thursday and Friday, I think some technical damage has been done, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in a second. Most market participants, I've mentioned this on Twitter and some other videos recently, they've never traded a bear, or they have short memories. They've forgotten that we really do get some declines. And I've mentioned a lot lately that cash is really low in brokerage accounts, and that the fund managers' cash is around 3%, which is historically low. So there's, I think, news in the background in addition to that sure seems to be scary, potentially coming out here. I say a top is being formed, and I want to show you some chart patterns right now that I think are important. Now, I know a lot of you are not technically minded, and you're more investment minded, and that's fine, but I think I can show you some things that kind of make sense when we look at some technical patterns in here. So we're going to look at, I look back at the last 10 years of the stock market, looking for something called kicker patterns, and I did a video on that for my members this week. Now, a kicker pattern is significant. What it means is that it's showing you in the chart that there's a significant tone change in the charts. Essentially, the market kicks away from an important high or an important low, and it's often on pretty good volume when it's in stocks, and these kicker patterns tend to give you important reversals in the market. I'm going to show you, as I look back in the last 10 years, some kicker patterns, and you'll be able to judge what's important. And I'm going to show you the pattern that we have in the stock market right now. So here is the S&P 500, and we're going back to 2010 when we look at this chart. So what I want you to see, now this is a daily chart in here. And what a kicker pattern is that you close up near the high, and then you have a downside gap that then gives you often a big down day. When that happens, it's a warning that there has been a tone change. Something significant has happened. Now, you'll note that when this happened in 2010, there was two big rebound days right there. Sound familiar, huh? I'll show you the pattern that we have right now in a moment. Now, what I want you to see is that this gave us a 17% correction back there in 2010. Yeah, that was pretty significant. It ended up to be a pretty big drop. So now I'm going to move forward in here in time, and I'm going to slide this up where you can see some more kicker patterns right in here. I want you to note here, after a correction in 2010, that there was a bullish kicker pattern. Yes, it closed near the bottom and had a gap on the upside, and it had a massive rally as the S&Ps moved up from 1180 to 1340, a 160-point move. What happened after that? Another bear kicker. There's your close near the high, the downside gap, the big down day. It followed through for a couple days, but then you had two big up days. You can see that right there. That ended up to be a 7.3% correction. Not a very big one, and still, very tradable when you see that, and the pattern was successful when you look at that. Now I'm going to move forward all the way up here looking at 2014. Got to get up in here. Sorry for this moving up like this, and you will see these patterns show up right in here. So in 2014, I moved a little too far. Let's come back. There were two bear kickers. There was one right over here, and that only brought a 4.4% drop, but you could see it was successful. There was not really the ability to get any kind of a rebound that you see right there. And here's the bear kicker pattern right over here, closing near the high and the downside gap. And then it had one day where it tried to return. And this was a 9.8% decline. Note that that ended also with a bull kicker. I just want to show you the quality of kicker patterns, and you can see that right over here, as this bull kicker right there with the upside gap brought you a 14% gain. So you could see high quality patterns there when we look at kicker patterns. Again, it's tone changes, sentiment changes. It's sometimes just because a market is overbought or oversold, and sometimes it's news that changes the sentiment. Now let's fast forward to today. as we look here all the way here at 2017. May 17th, the top of the market right there, 16th actually. And here is the biggest bear kicker that we have seen in the 10 years. Closes up near the high, the massive down day right over there on the big gap. That is a huge bear kicker that you see. And the return to the upside on a couple of days. Question is, as we've seen in past patterns, does this end up to just be the hook? Could be. You can see it's a perfect hook as I draw it, and that bear kicker pattern is reliable, as you can see, and often sets up for some pretty big declines. So there's your history lesson in the stock market, looking back, the last 8 years or so, and you can see the value of that technical patterns. What happens essentially is that millions of investors are trying to get out of a small door all at the same time. I think that Wednesday's decline kind of tells you that the situation is like that. Also interesting, another little nuance for technical traders is that I've been expecting a top and been talking about the fact that there's deterioration going on and all that, and there was an opportunity here coming up that I thought that the market was going to decline. And when I looked at it based on the type of work I do, cycle analysis, it was suggestive of the fact that there could be a decline. Now, the little nuance is that in a window of opportunity of something happening, how big or how small is the movement? Well, the movement on Wednesday in this window of opportunity was huge. 2% decline, it certainly is a big down day, and the biggest down day we've seen in 8 months, as I said. And then you got to wonder about Bitcoins trading up over $1,950. I say, as I've said before, this means something, and I actually think it won't be pretty. So let's see if this kicker pattern works as it has in the past. It might take a couple more days and fooling around before selling hits. If we get above that level and make a new high over 2405, then, well, you'll know that's a bunch of hooey. But in the meantime, I think it's important to look at. I hope you enjoyed that video. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also go to askSlim.com and become a level 1 member. No cost to you, and we have some special videos for you to see. I know you'll enjoy them. I'm going to the city and I'm going to do a steady show. And I know all my fans want to learn how to make some dough. I've been